Do a little sound check here on how's the volume. How's the volume? Can people hear me in the back?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All good?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent, terrific, terrific. Okay, I think we are ready to get started. So, good evening, everybody. I've got a few remarks I'd like to read first before we get started here further. But good evening and welcome to our community forum. My name is Mark Ornstein, and I'm a senior consultant with MGT. In addition to myself is John Feldman. John is over there in the corner. John is also a senior consultant with MGT. MGT is a consulting firm that specializes in supporting the needs of local governments and the educational community. John and I have over six decades of combined service in various law enforcement roles, including both of us having served as chief of police. We're excited to have you meet and hear from three experienced police leaders tonight, who all aspire to become your next chief of police. Before they introduce themselves, I would like to take a few minutes to provide a brief overview of our process and how we progress to where we are here tonight. Upon being selected by the Board of Police and Fire Commission to serve as consultants in this process, our first priority was to conduct in-person listening sessions with a variety of individuals and groups from the city of Beloit to provide us with input on what traits and qualities were most desired for your next chief of police. We met with representatives from the business community, education, nonprofit agency leaders, police department staff, including union representatives, and the city leadership team. Additionally, a public survey was released seeking the same level of input as previously stated. Once we obtained the necessary feedback from the various groups and individuals, we used that information to craft a position announcement and recruitment brochure. Ads were strategically placed with sources that historically provide us with high-quality applicants. John and I also conducted targeted outreach to our professional contacts in an effort to attract the most qualified candidates. This occurred in late August. Our outreach efforts resulted in 15 applicants from 8 states, including Wisconsin. Please note that there were no internal candidates applied for this position. The applicants were narrowed down to 6 candidates who were invited to attend the first round of interviews with the Board of Police and Fire Commission on October 23rd. Upon completion of those interviews, 3 finalists were selected to participate in an all-day assessment center on October 24th. The assessment center required candidates to complete a variety of written and presentation exercises intended to challenge their critical thinking and decision-making skills. The goal of the exercises was to simulate some of the day-to-day challenges a chief of police can expect to manage. The candidates were evaluated by 3 independent law enforcement executives with no affiliation to the city. In addition to this community forum, the candidates will be participating in 3 separate panel interviews tomorrow. These panels include police union leadership team, the city management leadership team, and the Board of Police and Fire Commission. In preparation for tonight's forum, the city has sought questions from the public. While time will not allow us to ask all aspects of every question, we will do our best to summarize specific themes where community members would like to hear a response. On a rotational basis, candidates will each be asked a random question received from the community. Each candidate will have approximately 2.5 minutes to respond to the question. Upon conclusion of our formal Q&A, the candidates will be available for approximately 30 minutes if you would like to meet them and introduce yourself. I would now like to allow each candidate to take a few minutes to introduce themselves and share information about their background. So with that, I will stop talking, and I'm going to have our first candidate Michelli, go ahead and introduce himself. Candidate Michelli.
Good evening. First start off by thanking.
Stand up, we can't see you in the corridor. Thank you.
You're welcome. First start off by thanking the Beloit Police and Fire Commission, MGT Consultants, for selecting me to finance to be the next police chief for the city of Beloit. My name is Anthony Michelli. I'm currently the police chief for the town of Geneva and Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I would love to bring my skill set and experience to the citizens here in Beloit. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Illinois State University and advanced senior management training from Northwestern and from Boston University. Prior to being the police chief in the town of Geneva, I spent nearly 20 years with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department in Rockford, Illinois. I started off my career in corrections in 1997 and worked my way through the ranks, being the first police chief in the village of Chesney Park. The village of Chesney Park contracts with police services to the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department. During my career in the Sheriff's Department, I negotiated numerous multi-million-dollar police contracts and technology improvements. Prior to retiring in 2024, I just completed a multi-million-dollar police station remodel in the village of Chesney Park. I believe the next police chief for the city of Beloit needs to be able to continue to foster relationships with community partners and within the community itself. Next police chief needs to continue to be open, transparent, and have trust from the community they serve. I look forward to the possibility of bringing this philosophy and my decades of experience to the Beloit Police Department. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Let's go see if your mic's working. If not, I'll hand you this one.
Test, test. Good. Yes. Good evening. My name's Ty Eagleson. My wife Trish is sitting back there with my youngest son, Trey. I have Jake and Jordan, my other children. I'm currently the assistant deputy chief at Rockford. I'm second generation law enforcement. My mother is retired from Cherry Valley Police Department. My father is retired from Rockford Police Department. I spend most of my free time coaching my youngest son's baseball team with his compadres. I grew up in Rockford and currently live in Caledonia. I spend a lot of time here with my family in Beloit at the restaurants, the market, baseball games, shopping for groceries. So I am invested in this community. Graduated from Jefferson High School in Rockford. I went right into the Marine Corps. I served for 4.5 years in the Marine Corps, deployed to Persian Gulf twice. I came home from the Marine Corps. I was hired by Cherry Valley Police Department. I worked there for about a year. And then I went to Rockford Police Department, where, as I said, I currently am. I was a patrol officer. I worked patrol. I worked with the housing authority and bicycle unit, along with the tactical team. I was promoted to sergeant. I worked supervising patrol shifts. I supervised the TAC team. I was promoted to sergeant, or went to afternoon shift in the DB. Promoted to lieutenant. I went back to the shifts, supervised a couple of the different shifts, but for patrol, I was moved to the intelligence unit, so oversaw that, and then I became the Investigative Services Bureau lieutenant. I was promoted to assistant deputy chief and took over the ISB, Investigative Services Bureau. I'm currently the commander of our bomb team. I'm a board member of the Rockford Area Crime Stoppers. I'm a board member of the Carrie Lynn Center, which is a child advocate center for children who are victims of horrendous crimes. I'm a member of the Belvedere VFW post. What I've developed over my various assignments and positions that I've held for 28 years in law enforcement, I have recognized 3 important principles. Number 1 is community outreach, which we need. We need to work together to solve crime, which is my number 2 item. Reduce crime. And all of us need to come together to do that. We need to have that collaboration. We need to talk with each other to get to reducing crime for our community. And number 3 is accountability. The officer's accountability to the chief, my accountability to the Police and Fire Commission, and to you. Thank you.
Good evening. Hello, Lloyd. My name is Chanel Stewart, and I'm from Evanston, Illinois. I have a bachelor's degree in sociology with a minor in criminal justice. I graduated in 1997 with honors cum laude. I have a master's degree in social work, and I completed Northwestern University School of Staff and Command while on the prestigious Criminal Leadership Award. As your next chief of police, I will focus on crime reduction, policy oversight, officer wellness, and mentorship. I have managed hostage barricaded situations, homicides, and also civil unrest. I am thankful to the community of Beloit, the Beloit City Management Team, and also the Beloit community and the police department. Those sworn and not sworn, and every day you dedicate the service of the good people of Beloit. I want to continue to implement Chief Sales' community policing philosophies of positivity. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right. So our first question and how we will do this is, candidate Michelli this question will be addressed to you, and then once he responds, the other two candidates will also have a chance to respond, and then we'll continue to do it on a rotational basis for each of the candidates, so every candidate will have an opportunity to go first to answer the question. Okay, maybe not. Yeah. We're just gonna use the stick mics, so. Yeah, I'll just hand you the stick mic, so don't worry about the lapels. Apparently the lapels are being difficult. So. Okay, candidate Michelli, how will you implement community policing strategies that both engage youth positively and effectively reduce crime? Second part of the question is, describe specific programs or approaches you would use to build relationships with young people while also addressing public safety concerns in our neighborhoods.
All right, thank you. Officers have to be engaged. We have to engage the children in this community. We don't just drive around with our windows up, windows down, get out of your car, talk to the kids, stop, and talk to them. Bring the human side, humanize policing, not just drive around going call to call. Community relationships, a lot of stuff at community, vets roll, coffee with the cop, we do trunk or treat, National Night Out, we grew it from 500 to 5,000. We had to move it. I've done stuff on the west side of Rockford with Harlan Jefferson and some others, just some big community events throughout Winnebago County. Partnered with GU's Playhouse, which is the adolescent house in McChesney Park. Some programs with the adolescent youth there. I think as a police chief, we have to go to these events. We just don't send our officers there, we have to go. If we're not going, we shouldn't expect our officers to go there. We have to go there, we lead from the front and have the officers come there. My philosophy is and always has been, if you're working the day of that event, I want you guys to stop by and engage with the community. I'm not the one on the streets every day. I'm here in the office. I would love to be in the street every day. and do what you guys are doing. And meet with all the people, and everything. Have to have great staff. Lloyd here has excellent staff. Chief Sales has created a great environment here, a great community outreach program. Chief Stigler is following his footsteps. I hope to follow in their footsteps and just build on already what Lloyd Police Department has with this community, and just keep building on all the community relationships we have here. Thank you.
How will you implement community policing strategies that both engage youth positively and effectively reduce crime? Describe specific programs or approaches you would use to build relationships with young people while also addressing public safety concerns in our neighborhoods.
Thank you. First off, as Anthony said, you have to get on your SWAT cars. And I've seen several of the Facebook posts, news articles of the officers who are getting out their SWAT with you, playing basketball, talking to them, and that's key. But you have to get out of the car. You have to be where the kids are. One of the programs in Rockford we did was high five kids. And we go to schools, to different schools, kids would come to school, we high five them, talk to them, and it just makes you look human as an officer, because all they see is driving around in a squad car. So you become close with kids. Also, as I said, playing basketball, let's get some sporting events. I know you guys do kickball at the baseball field. What a great deal that is. Get the kids out there. Once you start engaging these kids and you can have that one-on-one conversation with them, they're not going to go down that wrong road. They're going to stay focused, and you can focus them. Rockford, we have a gym in one of our stations. We have basketball leagues that come in there. We have kids coming after school for programs. Let's get something like that started up here. We can work with the Y, we can work with other community stakeholders. We need to be engaged with these kids to keep them on the right track. Their parents, they might not be around, or one might not, but we have to be there for them, to lead them in the right direction. That is going to reduce crime because they're going to be occupied. They're going to be listening to what we're saying, what we're engaged with them, and hopefully we are listening to what they have to say to us about what's going on. Thank you.
I'm gonna take a different approach. I used to be a social worker. I'm gonna talk about restorative justice. And I'm gonna talk about interacting with youth in a way where you don't see them outside of their family unit. Let's not make assumptions that youth don't come from families that have a holistic approach. We have to provide alternatives for youth in the community. I believe that we shouldn't wait for youth to get in schools. We should interact at the junior high level, and we should provide services that not only benefit that youth, but benefit the family they come from. For example, youth can get involved or become offenders in the judicial system. What is the recidivism programs in the city of Beloit that we have for youth? What if we contact the schools and have partnerships and find out that last night a search warrant was conducted on someone's home, and this young boy is having a difficult time concentrating, or this youth. So we have to see youth inside the family unit, and we have to treat the whole family. We can't just treat the youth involved. So when I say restorative justice, what do I mean by that? I mean by teaching youth through partnerships with external partners, with social service agencies, with law enforcement in the schools, how to resolve conflict without referring to violence. How do they come together and meet the individuals in a supportive environment that they may have a conflict with? You all here in Beloit have already interacted with youth at the Boys and Girls Club. I saw that. Community Network. In here, you already have programs interacting with youth. I want to talk about also what the youth may be suffering with. There is limited available housing in the community. There's also still youth in this country that go hungry. And so we can talk to youth about what issues they may be having, but we also need to support them. What I mean by that, if we have an after-school program, can the family afford to have the children participate in that program? Is that program available and accessible on a sliding scale? I think that this is a beautiful community of Beloit. You all proactively work with the community. I see the officers out there. So it's not driving by and having a conversation. They're out there engaging in the youth. You have school resource officers. But I also think that we should have meetings not only with the youth, but have their parents and their family members come in and find out what other services are needed. Community policing is not law enforcement telling the community what the problem is. It's the community telling law enforcement what the issues may be and how to address it. I have experience in the schools where I work at now. I facilitated a group called Females Reaching Educational Excellence. Those females were on the verge of being expelled from the high school. And what I found was I wasn't only treating the female, I had the families come in there to say, this student may not continue to go to this high school because I may not be able to live here. But do you have collaborations with external stakeholders so that if I move, you still follow us and treat us? Thank you.
Okay. Candidate Eagleson, you get to go first this time. Beloit, like many communities, faces mental health and substance abuse challenges. How will you approach crisis intervention, and will you support co-responder models with mental health professionals?
Simple answer is yes. I see the success in Rockford. We have a crisis co-response team currently. Those officers do a great job. They stay on top of those individuals that do have a history of mental illness. They make sure they get to their appointments. They make sure that they're getting their treatment. They take them to their appointments. It's huge for the mental health community to have that person in their corners. Me showing up, or one of these officers back here who has no clue about this person, yeah, we do have suggestions for them, but those officers in a crisis response team, they have that one-on-one knowledge with them. They're there, they're holding the mental health individual accountable for their actions and to get their treatment. So yes, I would definitely support that and encourage that to be implemented right away. Thank you.
Beloit, like many communities, faces mental health and substance abuse challenges. How will you approach crisis intervention, and will you support co-responder models with mental health professionals?
Yes, absolutely. So alternative calls for service. There are some calls for service where families call the police and armed police officers may not be needed. So collaborating with those partnerships that can be differently depending on the situation. They can come out, or the officers can respond, and they can make the appropriate referrals. But Barack Obama's task force on 21st century policing, doing it differently, spoke about that same thing. Where it is, for one, officers are not making diagnoses, right? But what can we do to assist the police department? We can train officers. We can train them to de-escalate situations. We can have CIT officers who are crisis intervention training officers. So yes, I support it. But sometimes what happens is when officers respond to a home for services on the street, they may be dealing with an individual that is unhoused. We need to find out what type of resources are available that are alternatives to just the police coming out there. So where I work at now, what they do is they have a mobile van. They have a mobile van to serve unhoused individuals for addiction. But then you also may have situations of mental health and having an officer stand by until we can get a professional there. But officers can't treat the individual in crisis sometimes only by themselves. They have to already have an established partnership prior to an incident happening so that we can rely on that incident. And the community supporting an alternative way to do it. But what I mean by that is the officers not being timed how long they're gonna be on the call for service. It may be as long as it takes to resolve the situation where there's no harm to the officer, no harm to the person in crisis, and no harm to the family members involved with trying to get help.
Like Ty said, in Winnebago County, in Rockville, Illinois, we started a co-responder unit, which encompasses officers, with psychiatrists, social workers, to respond to these calls with officers, to help someone in a crisis. And not only that, when officers responded to the calls, those reports get forwarded, so these co-responder units can follow up with these individuals. Our officers, all in Winnebago County, were trained, or CIT trained, Carson Intervention trained. They all, I believe all officers here, everyone needs to be trained in that kind of model. Mental health is the biggest problem in the U.S. right now. Number one reason for crime, poverty, homelessness, etc. It's a mental health issue. It all revolves around that. We as officers, me as a chief, I would like to implement the program, continue to grow the program you guys have going on here, and start this co-responder unit. It's very successful in Winnebago County and Rockford area. It's not about arresting someone, it's about getting them help. Sometimes those people need more help than they can offer. They need to know what services are out there. They don't know the services. These individuals that are trained, they have the pamphlets, they have the knowledge and the resources, they offer them everything they need to get the help. So yes, 100%. We need to have some type of responder unit here, or grow onto it here in Beloit to help with any issues we have with mental health. Thank you.
Okay. Next question. Recruitment and retention of officers is a nationwide concern. What's your plan for recruiting and retaining quality officers in a challenging hiring environment? And how will you ensure the department reflects our community's diversity?
Great question, Mark. So a few things. I think it's important for the police department to reflect the community that they serve. It bridges the gap of understanding, and those individuals in the community who may consider wanting to be law enforcement officials, it's important for them to see a reflection of that, of who they are in law enforcement. I think that we have to be intentional about recruitment. But I don't want to talk about recruitment without talking about retention and officer morale. Because if you don't address officer morale and retention, you're going to have a revolving door. And I've seen that also. For one, I think it's important to say thank you and be appreciative to the officers that stay with you. I know in the past and in some police departments, what they do is they follow up with the people that leave the department, but they don't follow up with the people that stay with the department and ask those individuals why you stay with the department. I think the best recruiters you can have are the ones that work for you, that tell people this is a great place to work. Come here to work at the Beloit Police Department. If you don't have individuals doing that, as the chief of police and as upper management, you have to take a hard look at yourself to ask yourself why. Not the officers that are leaving and staying, but you. What does your leadership look like? Do you create a culture in your police department of accountability? And not just for law enforcement and police officers, from the top, from management. The people that lead, are they held accountable? How do you reward the officers for the great positive community engagement that they do? Do you reward officers when they make arrests, or do you reward officers for the positive community engagement that they make? I was in this community and I was told by somebody here, they had a great school resource officer, that he's no longer their SRO, but he's in the community and he continues to come back. That officer should be credited with that great work that he does, because that officer changed that young lady's life. Every interaction the police have with the public to make an impression is so important, because that might be the only time you interact with law enforcement. I think you gotta diversify your recruitment, you gotta go to HBCUs, you gotta go to job readiness programs, and you gotta really take a look at your qualifications of what you want from a police officer. Some people don't go to college, but go to take a trade. Is that somebody you wanna look for to be the next police officer for the city of Beloit? It's important to reflect that. And I think before you do that, you have a community forum where you ask the community what they're looking for police officers to serve them. Thank you.
Thank you. Recruitment and retention is the number one issue in policing nowadays nationwide. It's not only recruitment retention, but it's wellness, work-life balance, the generational gap, the young officers to the senior officers. You want to attract the new ones, but I also want to keep the older ones to train the new ones on how to do the police job. It's not a job, it's a career. Police work is a career. You have to partner with your community partners, your churches, your National Guard armories, anywhere in the community where these kids can come from. But it all starts off in the schools. You gotta start off in their middle school when they're young, go to their high schools, and humanize this job. You have to use social media, biggest thing out there, likes, clicks, etc. Use that to your advantage. Show the human side of police work. Beloit does a great job. I watched some of their videos they created. They humanize in the police world. Go out there to the community, talk to the kids. Tell them what it's like to be a police officer. Most kids, a lot of kids in the community, it's always negative. All the police are coming to my house for always something negative. We're not the firefighters. Everybody welcomes the fire department when they come on in. I can say my brother's a Rockford firefighter, like 25 years. But the police, we go there when someone needs us, call us. We're running into danger where everybody else is running out. You have to use everyone out here in this audience to help us with recruiting. It's not about me on the top. Recruiting. It has to be all those men and women in the back there and mother staff to help recruit these officers. They're the ones on the streets every day. They're the ones talking to everybody else. I'm out here, I'm talking in front of you, I'm talking on news cameras, but they're the ones doing the recruiting. They're the ones talking to kids. Our SROs, they're the best recruiters. The kids love SROs. We had 3 of them down in Winnebago County. They're the best officers in Winnebago County to the kids. The kids love them. And we recruit a lot of kids from there. We started a Police Explorer program to teach the kids what police work's about, put them through some of the stuff. Very successful. Got a lot of police officers from that program, or they became civilian staff in the 911 center or records department. So recruiter retention has to come from everyone, not just the police department, but from the community itself. To humanize policing, use what we have, use the media, use the social media, everything we can to help foster great relationships and help us build a great police department. You guys are great back there. You have a great police department here. I just want to continue to grow. Thank you.
Retention is going to be what leadership creates in that department. And you want your officers to stay as they get their experience. You don't want to get experience in Beloit and then go to Janesville or go down to Rockford. You want them to stay here. And that it goes with the chief, the deputy chief, and your captains. You know, you want to set that tone and then morale in the department so they want to stay. As far as recruiting, I agree, we have to get to the kids at a young age, middle school, high school, and the school resources are officers that are there, they do a great job. But the number one recruiting tool we have is standing against the back wall back here, and that's the men and women of the Beloit Police Department. We in Rockford, we have the Explorers, But our biggest thing is we started working with the school district to funnel kids into classes that if they have an interest in becoming police officers. We have retired law enforcement officers that are teaching now. And the classes are geared towards being a police officer. And these kids are making their way through high school with that goal in mind, which is gonna pay off, yes, in a couple of years, not right away, but you're gonna see it with this generation. The other thing is, you have to reach out to colleges. You have a couple colleges right around here, one right here in town. Let's get out, let's mingle with them, let's talk, and see if there's something we can do. Can we pay a little bit of their tuition? You come on, we'll wait for at least 5 years, give us a commitment, and we'll pay a certain amount of your tuition. Like our college, the same thing. There's several different ways we can get young people to become police officers. And yes, we need to make sure that we reflect the community we work in. But we can't lower our standards to get to that point. We have to have the best candidates for that job. Because it's not gonna look, me look good, you look good if we have a bad apple amongst us, just because we wanted to get to a certain number. So again, retention is the atmosphere we create from the chief on down. We want people to come here. We want those men and women in the back to say, hey, this is a great place. We need to come work here. Thank you.
Okay. Next question. Can you describe your approach to balancing cooperation with federal partners whose duties may affect immigrant communities, while also fostering trust and safety among all residents? And do you have any experience facing this or a similar challenge?
Thanks, Mark. I'm first generation here. My parents were immigrants. They came from Italy in the 60s. I'm the first one that went through college, went through all that. So we faced a challenge. My dad faced a challenge living in a house with 5 other his family members, my grandma, my aunts, and all that when I first came here. So I have compassion, I have empathy for all that. We have federal partners. We had them down in Rockford. And as the sheriff, I think I just quoted yesterday, we don't house ICE immigrants in Winfield County. We never have, we never will. We have to work as a community with that. Federal partners experience, we worked with DEA, FBI, up here in Wisconsin, I worked with DCI, I worked with state police, I worked with a lot of different federal agencies, federal prosecutors and all that. 20 years in Mobile County, between all, you say with all the federal agencies, the police officer shootings, homicides, we had task force to investigate all that. My relationship with all this, you have to do what's right for the people of Beloit. We can't force our officers to. It's a big thing around the country, Chicago, Portland, here in Rockford, and Beloit. It's not going to be forced the federal government to do what they want to do. We're the Beloit Police Department. We do what the community here wants. We do what the Beloit PD is responsible for doing. What the city manager asked me to do, we follow the Beloit and what the community does. We're not going to be bullied or told what to do as a leader. I lead from the top. It's my responsibility to the men and women back there to lead them to policies of the federal government. Yes, we follow policies of the federal government, but with ICE, with all that there, we're not going to house, we're not going to make ICE arrests. You don't hear the policy here says we don't do it. I also speak a little Spanish, which I think when I go to calls, it kind of makes the Hispanic community, the calls a little more comforting, that I understand them, I can talk to them, I can relate to them. But yeah, as a first generation here, as an immigrant, my parents as immigrants, I understand it, I have compassion, I have empathy for all that. Thank you.
Can you describe your approach to balancing cooperation with federal partners whose duties may affect immigrant communities, while also fostering trust and safety among all residents? Do you have any experience facing this or a similar challenge?
Illinois, we can't ask an immigrant their status. We cannot enforce ICE detainers for an immigration violation. In my current assignment, I am the liaison with ATF, FBI, EEA, Homeland, you name it. We do have task force officers that are assigned to these different agencies. And I have had to tell these other agencies when the officer comes and says, hey, we're gonna go do this. And I have to tell them, no, we're not going to do that because it's a violation of our policy, state law. So as the chief of Beloit, I would follow the policies and procedures of the Police and Fire Commission, the state law, the city's law. And if the law says we're not doing this, we're not doing it. I want everybody to be a community. I want everybody to be inclusive. I don't want them to fear the police. So yes, I have experience in that. And I had to say, no, we're not gonna do that. And the partner agencies, because of the long-term relationship I've had with them, they understand. There's no question about it, and our officers sit out that operation if it's going on. Thank you.
Yes, I've had contact with ICE. I currently work for a community that's sanctuary city. And I believe that, because of that, we have a response for them to come to the jurisdiction. We can't assume who's an immigrant to this country. So, just because you may speak a certain second language doesn't mean that that person is an immigrant. I stand here, the daughter of an immigrant mother. So to make the assumption that what I look like causes me to be an immigrant would be wrong. I think that former Chief Sales did an outstanding job with his open letter to this Beloit community that he addressed the assistance to the federal government pertaining to ICE. He did make a determination about warrant and those individuals causing harm to the community with forcible felonies of violence. This community has taken a stance on community policing, and what we don't want is immigrant families or individuals to be abused and be victims and to not seek harm due to their immigration status. And then repeat violence occurs to a victim because they're not seeking assistance from the police department that's there to offer public safety and protect them. Thank you.
Okay. A casino operated by the Ho-Chunk Nation is coming to Beloit. What is your plan to prepare the police department for the public safety challenges and opportunities this will bring? How will you establish effective working relationships with the Ho-Chunk Nation and support a welcoming environment for businesses and visitors?
Rockford just had a casino open within the last year and a half. The key to it is to be in communication with them. Being a Ho-Chunk casino from the ground up. We have to set our expectations, their expectations of us as the Beloit Police Department and ours of theirs. Working together, we can set our, guidelines on what we're each gonna do. But as far as everybody being welcome, of course, come to our community, bring your money to our casino, because they're gonna stay in our hotels, they're gonna come to our restaurants, they're gonna go to our stores. But we also have to look outside the box. We have to look at technology. What kind of technology are we gonna put out there? Because we're not gonna be able to hire a bunch of officers right away with the casino. So what kind of technology? When I say technology, I'm talking about license plate readers, I'm talking about street cameras. So we can mitigate some of those issues that we have out there. With that, the money coming in from the casino, yes, let's hire some more officers and assign them out there. In Rockford, we do have a contract with them. We have a county deputy out there every day from, I believe it's 4 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the morning. They rotate. The city of Rockford, we handle all the concerts there. So there is ways for officers to make a little extra money out there, but also for everybody in the community and those coming in to enjoy themselves out there. We just have to get in from the ground floor and lay it out with them and us what we expect and what they expect from us. It'll be a great thing for you, trust me.
Like my counterpart said, it's important to establish ground rules of who's responsible for what. Doesn't mean that it won't be increased traffic possibly, right? Increased visitors to the community, so utilizing technology, not just LPRs, license plate readers, but also the casino has video. This casino is gonna be different, I believe there's gonna be a hotel possibly attached to the casino. I had a casino put up in the neighboring suburb where I live at now. And one of the things that I didn't think of, I thought initially from a law enforcement perspective, until I went to get a car wash and I saw the line wrapped around the college of employment opportunities. And then I spoke to some of those individuals that said, you know, here in Beloit, there is a question about fair housing and affordability of that. So this could be a business that brings job opportunities for individuals from the community to take advantage of. Yes, can the casino provide their own security and then contract with the police department to then have them come maybe on a time and a half rate to offer security? Yes, but that's all things that have to be negotiated and discussed, not by the police chief, but by the residents here in this room. Because it's what they expect from the casino, because you guys are gonna be directly impacted in what the commissioners and the city council, they'll have a voice in what that looks like. You have revitalization going on right now in your community in the downtown area, but it's important, it's so important to establish ground rules of what's gonna be negotiable and what's not going to be negotiable for this community and what that looks like.
Thank you. So in Rockford, as Ty said, we just got the Hard Rock Casino. I was on the team with the sheriff and the department groundbreaking of, we opened an open line of communication between the sheriff's department, Rockford PD, and the casino. We partnered with them, listen what they wanted, listen to our community. But we established police officers there every night. Police officers work from 6 to 6 every night, there to supplement the security. Because they weren't from the area. They're from somewhere else. They don't know what Rockford was about. So we supplemented. We started off with a couple days a week. We work there full time now. We were there every night from 6 to 6. And there's some individuals there on weekends. We have 2 officers. During concerts, during other special events, they utilize our bomb units, SWAT teams, etc. So we partner. If they want something, they ask us. But in turn, they're great partners. They also partner with us for equipment, squad cars, bomb dogs, etc. We had to work together. We worked together with the casino. Yeah, it's going to bring tons of money to this community. It will. Lots of jobs. They can't even fill jobs down there. So many jobs, and they're well-paid jobs. But we have to partner. We have to keep an open line of communication. That's the way I'm the chief. If one of my officers, one of my staff have an issue, yes, I believe in rank, go to sergeant, lieutenant, etc. But if they can't, if they don't trust them, if they have an issue with them, my door is always open. Come in and talk to me. Tell me what's going on. So you have to be a good communicator, you have to have good communication, but also you have to listen to what their wants and needs are. They're the ones that are missing $500 million, at least, with their casino, their community. So us as partners, us as Beloit Police Department, of course, we'll give them what they need, we'll contract their services, if that's what it takes. I'll partner with the city council members to see what avenue they want to approach. But we have to work as a team. It's not just the chief here. The whole community has to work together, but I also have to work with the city council, with all other businesses, and with the casino staff there. So yes, I have experience with the casinos, the staffing, and I believe it's going very well there in Rockford right now. Thank you.
Okay. Next question. What do you see as Beloit's unique strengths and challenges, and how will your leadership help our community thrive over the next 5 years?
This is a great question. This is an easy one for me about community-oriented policing. You all have made that very clear that this community values community policing. You all want to be involved in knowing what the issues are, or basically articulating what the issues are and seeing how law enforcement will address them with you. I believe a challenge is the diversifying of the police department and those community members that are allowed for voice. That can be viewed as a challenge. Do you really listen to everybody's voice in this community? I said at a meeting previously, everybody wants to be seen and heard, no matter who you are, no matter what your background is. So for me, when I get asked that question, I think it's really important to first stop and evaluate the history of this community. This community is a community of growth. I was in here visiting the community on my own, researching the history of the Fairbanks Morris site, the Fairbanks Flats, and thinking about now, generationally, and the harm, do those individuals now have a voice? Some of those family members may no longer be here, but what does that look like? And how do you treat everybody with dignity and respect? At times with community policing, everybody that talks to the police may not like the police, may not have a positive experience with the police, but does the police allow the opportunity for your voice to be heard if you don't agree with the police or if you do agree with the police? And I believe that you guys do a great job here with community policing. However, to answer your question, it could be challenging if you don't open your mind to receive feedback and input from all voices, no matter where it comes from.
What do you see as Beloit's unique strengths and challenges, and how will your leadership help our community thrive over the next 5 years?
I agree. The biggest thing is community relationships, fostering great relationships with all our partners, business partners, our community, using the men and women of the Beloit Police Department, our other civilian staff, and everyone to grow the police department. My leadership style is a lead from the front. I'm accountable for all my men and women here. My staff, whatever I bring up with me, I'm accountable for all of them there. I'm very transparent. I believe in integrity with people. You have to, this community, they have great programs, great community outreach programs, great community programs with the partners. I just want to grow on what you guys already have. You have a great system already to grow on. Yes, diversify the police departments. The police officers should represent the community, correct? But I'm hiring police officers. I want to hire police officers. I'm not going to hire anyone I want to hire police officers that meet the standards that are there, that are people, we all represent the community. We need to partner with our churches, with our community partners like the military, the schools, start off when they're young and grow and keep those relationships growing. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, we just need to keep growing, with the community, keep fostering relationships and expanding what you guys already have created. Community, thank you.
What do you see as Beloit's unique strengths and challenges, and how will your leadership help our community thrive over the next 5 years?
Well, the strength is what we see in this room. Diversity at its best right here. That's what Beloit has going for it. The housing that you guys are developing up here with your city council, the factories coming in, creating jobs, this casino coming in to create jobs. That's gonna help us all up here. The low income, all the way up. It's gonna help everybody. So you guys are doing great, and your involvement from everybody, from the quietest person on the block to the loudest person. You guys are doing great. With that being said, it's when we have these new residents coming in, we have to show what Beloit's all about, how we're involved. We care about the town. What are we doing to improve it? What we expect from our neighbors. We don't want that neighbor to move in and have parties 24/7 and disturb the peace. We want a community where we get along, where we live in peace. We enjoy the wealth that's coming with all the factories, the casino, and development that we're bringing. So that's what we have going for us. And activity about it. What my leadership style is I love to talk, I love to be out with people, communicating with them, getting to know them. I think we need to have that, just so everybody knows what I'm about and what I expect from my officers, how they should be. They should be outside the cars. Maybe go back to foot patrol. To be honest, we'd all be walking around every day, just so you're approachable and you get to know your area where you're working. So, thank you.
We started a couple minutes late, so I think we have time for one more. Good, yeah. Yeah, back to you. So this is regarding traffic safety. What steps will you take to reduce speeding and reckless driving in the city?
Gotta laugh back there. So I'm the police chief. I like the officers out there, not only stopping cars, but talking to people. My philosophy is not to write people tickets. I'd rather write them warnings, because that's a positive contact. You have to create positive context. How many comments we got from writing warnings and positive context when you work with stopping cars? Yeah, we're gonna use all the metrics, see where all the accidents are happening, where the speeding problems are. You can use the radar trailers and all that, gather information, and then have the officers concentrate in that area. That's the easy part. But for people to change, for people to slow down, you have to talk to them, to go out and talk. We noticed that when a lot of speeders in the community, in my community now in town Geneva, it's all Airbnb. So a lot of people from out of town coming in, we put up a radar trailers, we talk to them, we slow them down. Simple stuff like that. Taking officers in those areas where the issues are happening for a night, 2 nights, and trying to slow down. It works. It slows people down. But again, I'm not all about write a bunch of tickets, give a bunch of people a bunch of fines. The positive contact helps that individual, helps those people slow down. If you need a ticket though, you deserve it. You're doing 20, 30, 40 over, you probably earn that ticket. Because number one cause of traffic crash is obviously speed. So you need to slow down. My kids playing out there, it gets dark sooner at night, so even officers out there patrolling the streets, patrolling those areas, slow down. Visibility. is the best thing for traffic. If the officer's out there being visible on the streets, that's the biggest solution to traffic issues, just being out there, being present. Thank you.
First off, I can't believe there's a speed issue in Beloit. I thought that was just down in Rockford. As Tony said, educating the public with the public service announcement about speeding enforcement's coming, it's gonna have people thinking. Number two is you're gonna put the speed trailer in this area where the speeding is occurring. And then you're gonna have officers out there stopping these cars. Whether or not they give them a ticket or a warning, that's the discretion of the officers. The other thing that you will see success with, and I don't know if they use it up here, is putting a unmanned decoy squad sitting there. A squad car just sitting there is gonna slow people down. But you do this repetitive, this situation over and over, a couple days, multiple weeks, you're gonna have a reduction in your speed right there. Again, and so the residents that complain are gonna probably get stopped and they might get a warning and a speeding ticket, which is gonna upset them, but we can't have one without the other. So again, public service announcement, officers being out there, the decoy squad, and repetitive in a couple of weeks' time, the speed is gonna be reduced. Also, it's talking to the community, explaining why we're out here, why that squad car's been sitting there for a couple hours and no officers around. It's gonna slow people down. Thank you.
Speeding. There may not be an opportunity for a warning. I've worked in a community where speeders have injured individuals and taken their life. Speeders may not be warned because you may have somebody under the influence operating a motor vehicle. What about our children during school arrival and school dismissal? So there are going to be times of the day where there won't be an opportunity for warning because there'll be a no tolerance zone. Most of the time when you implement a no tolerance in a community that's asking you for it, they don't have a problem when a community member is cited or receives a ticket for the same violation that they have complained about. As your chief, I would meet with the public works director. Not just a trailer, but you can implement speed bumps, cul-de-sac. There are a lot of things that you can do physically as a deterrent in certain neighborhoods after you do an assessment of that community to find out if there's a need for it, outside of just having an officer there. I've worked in a community where we put a squad car out there, and after they notice ain't nobody up in there, that only works in the beginning stage. Also, you can look at cameras and taking photos of a license plate, but I think that you gotta think creative, and you gotta make sure that when you focus on different times of the day, because there may not be the availability of an officer to be placed there at that time, depending on what the other needs of the community are. And so I think that, for some individuals that have had family members injured or had people lose their life because a vehicle is a weapon, at times, it's more than just pulling a car over and having a conversation. Which then leads me to, how do we tolerate reckless drivers and those individuals that don't want to be stopped or don't want to be pulled over by the police when the police gets behind them and activate them. And so I think there's a lot of things to consider. That's not an easy question, and it's going to be the needs of the community. But I think it's important that when we address quality of life issues, because that's what it is, right? It's not a crime of violence, it's a quality of life issue in a community, that we begin to think out the box. And the first thing I would do as your chief is I would meet with the public works director and I would get an assessment of that area and see what we could physically do to change wherever this speeding is happening. Because sometimes it's on a road that everybody utilizes, or it's on a road where everybody cuts around to utilize so that they're not stopped in traffic. Thank you.
Before I give just a few closing remarks, how about a round of applause for all three of our Just a couple of real quick items here. Number one, my partner John Feldman and I, we do work all around the country with a lot of different communities, and I just want to take 1 second to just say how impressed with the thoughtfulness and level of professionalism your city staff has been in this process to get us where we are tonight. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes with members with your city that you never see or never know about, but I can tell you as an outsider, they're doing a heck of a job. So please know that, everybody, they're doing a great job for all of you. Yeah, before you leave tonight, in the back of the room, there's these cards, these little business cards. Please feel free to take one. It's your opportunity to provide feedback to the city on what you heard tonight from all three of these candidates. There's a couple different ways where you can send in information. Please do it as soon as possible, because as I stated at the beginning of our meeting tonight, we're continuing this process tomorrow. So your feedback is certainly wanted and welcome and important. So please do that if you choose to. And finally, before I wrap it up, you'll now have, our candidates are gonna stay here for about 30 minutes. So if you'd like, you may come up and introduce yourselves. I will ask that you please be brief with each candidate, because this is a full room, and we want to allow for anybody to have a minute to come up and maybe shake a hand and introduce themselves and say hello. So with that, I'm going to close out the formal part of our forum for tonight and turn it all over to you and our candidates to interact. Thanks so much.
Watching how y'all handle your business. Yeah. How you doing? How you doing? Good job.